Are you also fascinated by the weird, the gross and the pukey stuff out there? Do you also spend hours on YouTube binge-watching videos about nasty and insane things you've never seen before, despite the fact that some of them make you want to throw up or crawl into a deep dark corner? If the answer to these questions is yes, then congratulations, you've come to the right place. We've brought for you today a compilation of all the weirdest things you'll probably be seeing for the first time in your life. But before we get started, be sure to smash the like button, subscribe and click the notification bell for more such amazing content. You might find this creature lurking in your yard, and just by looking at it, you'll feel something crawling under your skin. That is, unless you feel something crawling over your skin. That would be the amber snail, which has been infected by the green-banded broodsac, which is a parasitic worm. The worm incubates inside the snail, and as soon as the larvae hatch, they invade the eye stalks of the snail, making them pulsate in an odd and gross manner. These stalks get puffed up and look more like caterpillars, and that's exactly what the worm wants. The worm then gains control over the snail's mind and forces it to move out in the open, where the birds in the surrounding area are attracted to the worm's pulsating and pluck the snail's eyes. The parasite gets relocated into the bird and starts reproducing inside it. The bird consequently disposes the eggs with its feces, and this way these eggs end up invading another unfortunate snail, repeating the horrific life cycle of the worm. If you thought that only brain-sucking parasites were capable of turning other animals into zombies, you could not be more wrong. Just look at this snake, which is actually brain-dead. You can see its head portion is lifeless and limp, but its body isn't paying any heed to the fact that living is no more required, as it refuses to just stop moving and die in peace. And here we thought the deadly virus was our only problem. Turns out cold-blooded reptiles with their slow metabolisms can freak us out too. Because of their cold-blooded nature, their muscles don't depend on a large amount of oxygen to survive, and that's exactly why, even if you decapitate a snake or somehow it loses function of its head, the rest of the body will still keep moving for hours afterwards. Have you ever come across anything more hideous than this? Well, don't make any claims yet. This list only gets weirder and weirder. Snakes aren't the only animals with survival instincts embedded in each and every cell of their body. Turns out alligators have their own quirks. In order to survive through deathly cold winters, the alligators have found a unique method. As ice begins forming on the edges of lakes and swamps, the alligators allow their bodies to freeze in place with the water. In order to keep breathing, they poke their heads slightly out of the ice, which looks like tiny tombstones with extremely sharp teeth on them. During the time they stay frozen, the alligators slip into a process called brumation, which is basically the reptile's way of hibernating. By doing this, their metabolism is slowed down to a great extent, thus preserving the precious and scarce energy. Although they're practically dead in there, would you take the risk of skating on that ice? We definitely wouldn't. We know we said that there's no way we'd choose to become an alligator meal if it's an option, but we'd do it in a heartbeat just to avoid these terribly horrifying bugs. Just hear the sound they make. Makes you want to scream in anger, doesn't it? These are the Chinese spiny stick insects, and they're native to Australia, like most terrifying insects. These are barely 14 centimeters in length, but the problem is that one can hear them moving, and that really makes them seem much bigger than they are. We still can't fathom how this person allowed so many of these to crawl up their arm. When we talk about nasty bugs, the cicadas always manage to make an appearance. Though their bulging red eyes and their size, which is almost as big as a human thumb, freaks us out, it definitely goes out of the way when they molt. That's a whole other level of insane. The eggs of this species tend to hatch into nymphs and spend a long time of 17 years underground as they develop. After this, they emerge onto the surface and then molt out of their exoskeletons. They burst out and reveal the real horrifying insect lying underneath. Seems like some alien shrimp monster. If the tarantula exiting its shell had you grossed out, wait till you watch this animated manifestation of various sections of the human embryo gradually growing and moving around to form the face of a fetus. This occurs in the first 3 months after conception, as the plates of tissue relocate and then finally fuse at the philtrum, which is the name of the section just above your top lip. While scientists may be awestruck by this, watching this miracle unfold is pretty unsettling for the layman like us. There are some stages during the development where the face doesn't even faintly resemble a human. However, we can all feel good about ourselves owing to the fact that all the humans, no matter how beautiful or average, were this ugly blob of cells and tissue floating in fluid at one point. You may think this girl's foot is backward facing as a result of some gory accident, but the reality is quite different. This formation of her limb is completely intentional as she underwent a rotationoplasty, This is a surgery which is done when a young child requires the removal of a section of their leg because of bone cancer. Now, instead of amputating the whole limb and leaving them with a stump, the surgeon rotates the intact foot and reattached it to the thigh. This may seem like a procedure from a medical horror movie, but it's actually quite real and useful, as the backwards-facing foot acts as a knee joint and its nerves keep providing stimuli to the brain, therefore helping the patient achieve better degrees of balance with the help of specialized prosthesis. After the backward-facing foot, we have for you this weird hand that can hyperextend all its joints. No, it's not some magic trick or some FX miracle. This is in fact the hand of a real person and is probably the result of some kind of hypermobility syndrome. It's a condition where the connective tissues that constitute the ligaments and tendons that connect your muscles and bones are extra elastic, and more so than those of normal people. This allows the individual to overextend certain joints of their body, including fingers, hands, arms, and legs. Did you know that humans are actually born with all their teeth already present in their skulls? Yes, we mean all the teeth, the milk teeth and the permanent ones. That's a lot of teeth. But why don't we see them? How come babies just have soft pink gums when they're born? The fact is that all our teeth are hiding in our very own skulls, and to help you understand this better, we have for you this incredibly terrifying cross-section of a child's skull. How and why the skull was obtained is something we can't say for sure, but this image is creeping us out to the bone. We can see all the teeth embedded in the skull. As a child, you only have 20 small baby teeth, but as we grow, our mouths and jaws do too, and therefore the milk teeth come loose so they can make room for the larger 32 permanent teeth. Our adult teeth are tightly crammed into our tiny jaws. Maybe that's why babies are so irritable. Turns out mulberry molars aren't the tooth fairy's favourites, but this bone-chilling condition called hyperdontia probably is. In this condition, too many teeth grow in a person's mouth. In certain cases, the situation is less severe and manifests as one or two extra supernumerary teeth emerging from the gums. However, in other cases, the mouth may remind you of a monster from your nightmares, as numerous extra teeth can spring out from all sides and in all directions. If that wasn't horrifying enough, some sadistic minds thought, why not take it up a notch? They actually photoshopped an insane amount of teeth in these mouths, and we have to warn you, these images are extremely unsettling. We can't even imagine someone having this many extra teeth in reality. It's just too cringy. We can't even begin to describe this terrible condition. Just the thought of it makes us want to puke. Yes, you heard it right. This medical complication results in hair growing inside someone's mouth. The cause of this mind-boggling condition can sometimes be a reconstructive surgery where skin grafts containing hair follicles are used to patch up oral injuries. If this hair keeps growing, it can lead to swallowing difficulty, speaking problems, and to find some psychological trauma to the patient suffering from this. Props to the therapist who has to treat and clean this mess up. In this image, you can see the feet of a Taiwanese woman who claims she's only 4 foot 11 inches tall. The woman is a student and her long, creepy toes are making our stomach upset at the moment. She can even interlock them. The longest toe measures around 2 inches, and that's pretty much the same length as her fingers. That's quite a disproportionate physical characteristic, we have to say. Maybe she's found some good for these now that she has no choice but to live with them. The human foot is capable of much more than just oddly long toes. For example, look at this video displaying a masterpiece created by the design duo Matière Ficale. These fashion fanatics designed these boots by reimagining the bone structure of the human foot. This insane footwear design boasts a stomach-turning individual toes, fleshy heels, and curved skinny horns. If you thought the design is pure bonkers, wait till you hear the price. They're selling this fashion crime for a whopping $10,000. Unbelievable. You're going to need that bucket for this one. Just look at what this girl can do to her throat with the help of just 2 fingers. She can stretch her windpipe in either direction. Although it doesn't cause her much pain, we can't say the same for ourselves. This horrifying flexibility might be a consequence of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, a disease that causes increased elasticity in the cartilage. Another nasty throat story here. This girl actually had a frog in her throat, as you can see. She somehow manages to flex her neck muscles in a way that they can create perfect cavities for a frog to rest. We're trying to find an angle from which this looks cute, but so far no luck. What about you guys? A conversation about human body horrors would be incomplete without the legs of pro cyclists. Just look at these demonic legs of Paul Polanski that were photographed after he finished the 16th stage of Tour de France in 2017. These extra dilated veins you see here are because the muscles demand extra large amounts of oxygenated blood. The dilation increases the blood flow to these muscles to as high as 9 gallons of blood flowing through his legs per minute. That's the price you pay for being a professional athlete. This spiderweb of veins has us terribly aware of our veins. What about you guys? Who knew these cute fluffy hamsters would be able to scare the life out of us just by yawning? It's just unbelievable how terrible the hamster looks as it yawns. We didn't even know it could open its mouth so wide. We've always seen them nibble on food with their tiny teeth. The mouths open so wide it looks like they would turn themselves inside out at any moment. That would definitely be an even more traumatizing sight though. If the molting of cicadas upset you, then you need to skip this one, especially the arachnophobes out there who just should move on. Get ready to meet the kind of monstrous molts this 8-legged piece of horror called the tarantula can do. Just look at this leftover exoskeleton of a molted tarantula. These hollow tubes you see are the spaces that were occupied by the legs and body of the tarantula. Tarantulas tend to molt once every few months to once a year. This period between molting depends on their age. How do they exit the skeletons, you may ask? Well, during this process, their abdomen contracts and pushes the body fluids to the upper part, resulting in a buildup of pressure, which in turn cracks the exoskeleton. The spider then pops off the top of the exoskeleton and slides out. Even the thought of it makes us want to puke. Your life won't be the same after watching this picture of a barn owl without its feathers. Don't say we didn't warn you. Who knew underneath all those fluffy feathers there lied a wide pointy head, huge eye sockets and wings that resemble thin razors? We have to say, without the wings, these owls look more like the pet of a terrifying monster from a horror movie. And this isn't how the real body of a barn owl looks. In fact, underneath the feathers of the great grey owl is a body that quite closely resembles the shape of a vulture. And their body actually only makes up a small fraction of their entire volume, which seems quite exaggerated by the feathers and fluff. Last in today's list of horribly upsetting visuals is this Petri dish. On this dish you can see the growing microbes recovered from the hand of an 8-year-old after playing outside. The child's handprint was taken in the dish and the microbes were then given a few weeks to grow. As you can see, all kinds of germs grew here, be it bacteria, fungi, molds, yeast and probably viruses too. We just can't see them. The bacteria created this disgusting display. Now if this doesn't make you want to wash your hands over and over again, we don't know what will. That was all for today. See you all next time. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. After all, we did make you throw up, right? Have a great time. Goodbye.